We're live from our studios here in Kukumlimle. Our digital address is GA0992539. It is your home of fearless, credible and independent journalism. Our lead stories this hour. The battle to remain at Agbogloshi as onion sellers face off with city authorities to give them a new station. We hear from the sides as Accra Region Minister insists the onion sellers must relocate to Ajen Kotoku despite their fight back. Also, a push to abandon duties. Health workers at the Panton Psychiatry abandoned post indefinitely as they complain of attacks by land guards encroaching on the premises. We hear why months after the health minister promised a solution, we are back to this problem.
The president should come and manage the patients. If he doesn't think of the safety of our staffs, and if he doesn't think of us, then he himself should come and manage the patient.
We'll be hearing from authorities there. Also, political consensus built around the census as President Akufo-Addo and former President John Mahama get counted. We go around the country to check on the process so far. Well, and of course, President Kufuor as well. The pulse is brought to you by Global Communities Dignilu, affordable, safe sanitation. Do join us and invite your friends to join us on DSTV 421, GoTV 144. We're streaming live on YouTube and on our social media handles. My name is Gifty Ando-Apia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. Well, I want to take you right now to the NDC headquarters. The party is addressing a press conference on judgment debts. We can go over there and hear them, among others.
If we can see that on the screen. If you may recall, Honorable Alhassan Suini filed a question in Parliament on this issue. And the question was to the effect, he asked the Minister for Finance which independent power producing companies have received payments from the government of Ghana for excess capacity charges and how much was paid to each company in the last 4 years. Let's see Ken Ofori-Attah's answer. So Ken Ofori-Attah says that $937.5 million, and the money went to 3 companies: AXA $347.20 million, Car Power $359 million, SemPower $231.30 million. Now, this is payment in excess capacity charges according to the finance minister over a 4-year period. Now, when you divide this by 4 years to get the annual, average payments, you get $234 million US. So they claim that the Akufo-Addo government has been paying $1 billion US every year in excess capacity charges. It's not true. Because per Ken Ofori-Attah's answer, it comes down to just $234 million US. But ladies and gentlemen, not all that amount constitutes excess capacity payments. And I'm going to explain that to you. It is worthy of note that about $200 million of this amount, this $234 million per year, constitutes the 20% standard reserve margin of ECG, which is a necessity and not excess capacity. So ECG is supposed to have a reserve margin of 20% of electricity they use. So that 20% reserve margin is like reserve players on the bench of any team. Those reserve players on the bench of, say, any football club are there for a purpose. I don't want to say phobia. I don't want any trouble with fabulous fans. You know that every team, plays with 16 players, 11 on the pitch and 5 on the bench, except for tournaments where you have 18 players, right? Now, the players on the bench are not excess. They are a necessity because they can be called upon to substitute those playing at any given time. So you cannot describe them as SS. Now, we've shown you that per Ken Ofori-Attah's answer, the amount of money we are paying in SS capacity charges averagely per year is $234 million. Now, out of that figure, $200 million of that is the reserve margin of ECG, like the 5 players on the bench of any football team. That is a necessity that they are required to have. You cannot describe that as excess capacity charges. The remaining $34 million worth of power would have been wiped away or wiped off if VALCO, only VALCO, had been revived by the Akufo-Addo government, or even if the AFD funded 330 kV transmission line project from Ghana to Burkina Faso, which was commenced by the ex-Wal NDC Mahama administration, and which would have ensured an increase in the exportation of power from 100 megawatts to 200 megawatts to Burkina Faso alone, not to talk of other Sahelian countries, had been completed by this government. The question we want to ask those who keep disturbing our ears with this propaganda about excess capacity charges is, why has the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government extended the duration of the car power PPA executed by the NDC Mahama administration from 10 years to 20 years, and the duration of SemPower from 5 years to 10 years, if the claim about excess capacity charges is true? Only recently, the Minister for Energy, Matthew Poku Prempeh, asked for Ghana to increase its generational capacity. As we speak, a steel manufacturing company in Ghana, located in Pampram, and I'm told they are the biggest in Africa at the moment, B5 Limited, is operating at 30% capacity due to lack of power. Where then lies the claim that Ghana is paying for power we don't need? Friends from the media, even if the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government thought that the country did not need the 107 megawatts of installed capacity the GPGC EPA was supposed to provide, or that the country could not export same for revenue as the Mahama administration had planned, the wisest thing for them to have done was to have negotiated and deferred the implementation of the agreement, just as they claim to have done in the case of 4 other PPAs. Terminating the agreement on the basis of fictitious and contrived claims, which they knew could not be sustained and could potentially occasion a judgment debt and financial loss to the state, was not an option. After all, the maintenance and performance of the agreement would have cost the nation only $99.6 million US, with a possibility of the state exporting same for revenue. In conclusion, and as I've already demonstrated with indisputable facts in my presentation, Ghana has been slapped with this judgment debt of $170 million as a result of the reckless and wrongful termination of the GPGC EPA by the Akufo-Addo government and their sloppiness and incompetence in defending same at the arbitration and in courts. The then Minister for Power, Boachie Agyarko, who wrote to terminate the agreement, and his deputy at the time, knew and actually conceded that they have no legal basis to terminate the agreement the way they did. They very well knew that terminating the agreement that way could potentially occasion a financial loss to the state. Yet, they did so willfully, knowing very well what the consequences of their actions were. They failed to take advantage of the opportunity they were offered by the company to remedy the situation or reinstate the EPA as they themselves had promised. This is why the wrongful termination of the GPGC EPA by the Akufo-Addo government and the avoidable financial loss it has caused the nation is unpardonable. As a party, we are very sad that all of us as Ghanaians will have to cough up this colossal amount of money, $170 million, which is equivalent to 1.2 billion cedis, or 10.2 trillion old Ghana cedis, and which accrues interest daily, compounded on a monthly basis. This colossal amount could have been channeled into the constructions of thousands of dormitories and classroom blocks to end the obnoxious double-track system which is undermining the quality of secondary and tertiary education in the country. Or could have been channeled into the provision of hospital beds and other facilities to end the much dreaded no-bed syndrome, which is claiming so many precious lives. Alternatively, the huge sum of money could have been used to build roads and for other useful projects that would have created jobs and improved the well-being of Ghanaians. The perpetrators of this evil must not go unpunished. The NDC, ladies and gentlemen, hereby calls for investigations into the circumstances surrounding the unlawful termination of the GPGC EPA, particularly the alleged so-called recommendation by the Ahenkra Committee for the termination of the said GPGC EPA, which in our view raises issues of fraud. We also demand that all officials of the Akufo-Addo government who were directly or indirectly involved in the processes leading to this huge financial loss to the state are held responsible and punished for same. But in the likely event that President Akufo-Addo, the mother serpent of corruption, who is himself complicit in this matter, fails to act, a future NDC government will investigate this matter and ensure that those responsible for the wrongful termination of the GPGC EPA and avoidable judgment debt and financial loss it has caused the nation are brought to book. We thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's coming to you live from the NDC headquarters, and they've been addressing the judgment debt, $170 million there. You've heard all that they had to say about it, and trying to reach our correspondent on the ground to get more information on the ground. We'll do that shortly, but let's bring to you this very important story. Health workers at the Pantang Government Hospital have hit the streets today. They are demanding immediate action in halting encroachment on the hospital's land. The workers who have declared an indefinite strike say they are being constantly attacked by land guards and other criminals around the facility. Health Minister Kweku Agyeman at his vetting by the appointment committee, had promised a compulsory acquisition of the encroached lands by government. But after months of no action, the hospital staff say that they're abandoning their post. They are threatening not to return until the matter is addressed.
Some of the aggrieved health workers with the Pantang Government Hospital. Well, they are today up in arms on the streets of the Pantang area, demanding immediate government action, essentially on the state of land at that particular hospital. Well, for years now, they have been besieging government and in fact asking that government clears encroachers and other private developers who have now taken over the major part of the land, exposing them to risk of attacks from some, they say, land guards, etc.
So this is no new demand. We are saying that we are fleeing from our unsafe work environment. About a year ago, we wrote to so many stakeholders. We wrote to the Ministry of Health, Mental Health Authority, the Speaker of Parliament, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health. We copied our MP, and the list goes on. We've written even to the presidency. You name it. We wrote about this same issue about our unsafe work environment. We got to the lives are at stake. We all have families, and we think that if I am enough of the meetings. Now we don't want meetings anymore. We want to see the wall built and we want to see the slums cleared. What we want is action. Until our work environment is made safe, we are fleeing from our unsafe work environment. It's as simple as that. The last time the war was started, so we resumed work. And what happened? It stopped just when we resumed work. Now we are saying that until the wall is about 80% through, we are not coming back to our unsafe work environment.
What happens to your patients? I mean, I know that a lot of patients are on admission currently. Now that you're on the street, what's happening to them and what's going to happen after you've left the streets?
So we are very concerned about our patients. Now all that we are fighting for is not just for ourselves, but we have our patients at heart. If you hear gunshots at night, it affects our patients. These are some people with various forms of disorders, panic disorders, anxiety disorders. You hear these gunshots and then it affects these patients and even ourselves and our families psychologically. So we are saying that we are fighting for this not just for ourselves, but for our patients, for the nursing students, for the basic school students, and all the people that use the premise. So this is not just for ourselves. Unfortunately, the patients have to bear the grant for the inactions of the Ministry of Health. As it stands, we are withdrawing completely from our unsafe work environment.
You're withdrawing your services completely?
If management cannot take care of their clients, they will have to discharge them. We as unions have made our decision and we've written to all the necessary stakeholders to inform them.
Act now. Or lose your workers, that's all.
They should act now or lose
their workers, that's all.
But we've seen that the wall has begun, the construction of the wall has begun.
It's been long. They have to continue. It's been so many years they started this war and it's still there. It's at cake. They should fix it now or lose their workers. The president must demarcate the Panther Hospital now. Yes. We are running away for our dear life from Langas. From Langas. And he must demarcate the Panther Hospital now. The Panther Hospital has documents as a Panther Hospital. Yeah. We want it now. Yeah. And we want the hospital to be demarcated and walled. Yeah. Now! Oh, no way!
The private people be well, how can they be encroaching? So we want our land back. Without the land, we are not working. Nobody is working. We are sitting down without working.
What does that mean for your patients?
The president should come and manage the patients. If he doesn't think of the safety of our staffs, and if he doesn't think of us, then he himself should come and manage the patient.
Well, those were workers at the Pantang Hospital there, speaking to my colleague Manuel Kranting. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty and Lopia. We're going to take a very quick break. When we return, we want to go back to Pantang and talk to authorities there. As you heard Manuel ask them, the wall has started. Why are they going on a demonstration and why are they declaring an indefinite strike? Well, it's been months since they were promised that this problem will be solved once and for all, and that hasn't happened. We'll talk to the authorities when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Many thanks for staying with us. President Akufo-Addo has called on the 2021 National Population and Housing Census officials to strictly adhere to data protection in the law to ensure the sanctity of the exercise. The census took off last night, and for the next 2 weeks, everyone in the country is expected to be counted. At his Nima residence, President Akufo-Addo and his household were enumerated to formally start the exercise today. After going through the questionnaire, President Akufo-Addo called on Ghanaians to fully participate in the exercise, saying the outcome will help government plan and develop the country with reliable data. Listen to the president interacting with the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobina-Enim.
You're welcome. I got your letter that said you were coming in this morning, so we'll be waiting for you. Thank you for coming, and your assistant.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and thank you very much, the First Lady. I'm here with Dr. Pelche, who is one of the 6-member census coordinating team. Your Excellency, once again, thank you very much for the opportunity. As we indicated in the letter, following yesterday's celebration of the census 9th, today marks the first day of the enumeration exercise that will take place for the next 14 days. And certainly we need to whip up participation for the activity. So as part of the data collection, we decided that we would visit and do the enumeration of your household. So that is why we are here, and with your permission, I would want to start.
Yes. 14 days, is it?
Yes, we start.
The actual counting is a 14-day period.
It's a 14-day period, yes.
And ending on what day?
11th of July, 2021.
Okay.
Yes. Your Excellency, I would begin with some background information so that I apprise you on the essence of the census undertaking and get your consent before we get into the data collection exercise. Your Excellency, Your First Lady, as you are aware, census undertaking is a decennial activity which gives us an opportunity to update our records on 5 fronts: our socio-demographic characteristics, our economic activity, and 3 other key areas, specifically housing, sanitation, and some selected areas, i.e. persons with difficulty in performing activities, ICT, and economic activity, which underscores the issues around employment and unemployment. Your Excellency, we're going to do this exercise over on an average 45-minute period, and that is what we do generally. But for this exercise, we're going to go through the basic issues. But what I want to emphasize is the confidentiality and the assurance to providers of information that it's just for statistical purposes. We're not going to identify individuals in the data collection. And this is reference to our Statistical Service Act 1009, that was 1003, that was passed in 2019. Specifically, Clause 50 talks about strict confidentiality. So the information that you're going to provide would not be used for any targeting of persons or targeting of specific groups of people. It's going to be used only at the aggregated level. The data that we're going to put out there for further analytical work would de-identify all the personal information in there, and for that matter, it would be an anonymized data. Again, Clause 54 of the same Act, Your Excellency, assures providers of information that we're not going to release that information for any use, such as for tax purposes. So we assure that this is strictly for statistical reasons. Your Excellency, on the count of the confidentiality and the assurance, do we have your permission to proceed, please? Thank you.
Who are you counting? Everybody who's in Ghana?
Yes, exactly. Yes. All persons
who are here?
Yes.
As of last night?
As of last night. Yes.
Everybody who's here, doesn't matter the nationality, the resident status, nothing. So long as they were in Ghana last night, yes, they will be counted. Yes. Is that it?
Yes.
And you're counting everybody? No distinction. No, I mean, people don't have to come and show that they are Ghanaian or they are this or that. So long as physically they were present last night, they'll be counted.
Yes, yes.
That assurance has been given to the population, I hope, clearly.
Yes, please. Okay. Your Excellency, indeed, that is why our slogan for the census is "You count, get counted." So it's a non-discriminatory activity, it's an all-inclusive activity. But once the data is collected, we have questions that would help us do analysis based on nationality and based on other socio-demographic characteristics.
Because I've noticed from the newspapers, from the media, that certain groups of people seem as if they are talking as if they have been discriminated against. I heard, for instance, Fulani people saying that they should be counted, suggesting that somehow or other they are not going to be counted. Is that true?
Your Excellency, indeed, that come up, especially with the Fulani group, and we have had petitions from at least 4 other ethnic groups. Thankfully, we've been able to resolve all those challenges. It was a matter of public education for them to understand how the questioning is done. Your Excellency, as I indicated, the counting is conditioned on only persons who spend the night, and that is a criteria. But in addition to that, we have 127 questions, and one of the questions is the ethnic group that the respondent belong. And we do the analysis by making an attempt to capture the major ethnic groups that we have. So the questionnaire that we've gazetted does not reveal the sub-ethnic groups. Our analysis is always done at the major ethnic group level. But we've made it clear to all of them that we're not going to put out there the percentages for the sub-ethnic groups, because that has not been the practice of Ghana Statistical Service. Principally because of the nuance when you are trying to get into the very details of ethnic groups, because of how our system has been polarized with different ethnic groups.
No, because it's extremely important that this process should be a process of unification, not disaggregation, not putting people apart. And in your system, that's what you are aiming to achieve, is that it?
Your Excellency, that is what we are aiming to achieve, and we've really stepped up our publicity, education, and advocacy interventions to ensure that the public is well informed about this. For the first time, we have a census website, and we've put all our materials, and that is where people are getting information to further interrogate our processes.
I will bring you back that conversation between Professor Enim and President Akufo-Addo. We just need to jump onto the Panta story quickly, because we've just had in hand the medical director, Dr. Frank Benning. Doc, thank you very much for your time. Good afternoon. Hello, Dr. Benning. Wait, I can hear you now. Well, first of all, we know that government already assured that they're working, or that work has been done on the issues that your workers raised about safety, also about encroachment on hospital lands. Any idea why the workers are still striking and declaring an indefinite strike, striking and going out to demonstrate today, despite the assurances that government has given?
Yes, the workers, as we all know, currently are on strike. And it's for the reasons that they say that they chose not to work.
Yeah, hard time hearing you, and I believe that my viewers aren't hearing you either. I don't know if it's about the positioning, or we might have to try and reach you back perhaps on phone. Dr. Benning, can you hear me okay? Looks like we're having issues there. Let's try and raise him back. Hello, Doc. Can we start all over again? I didn't hear a thing of what you said. We've lost him. We'll try and raise him back to answer a few of the questions that are on our mind. I'd like to take you back to the President's conversation with the census official.
Because it's extremely important that this process should be a process of unification, not disaggregation, not putting people apart. And in your system, that's what you are aiming to achieve, is that it?
Your Excellency, that is what we are aiming to achieve, and we've really stepped up our publicity, education, and advocacy interventions to ensure that the public is well informed about this. For the first time, we have a census website, and we've put all our materials, and that is where people are getting information to further interrogate our processes. And we continue to urge the public to make use of our website, where we have all our PowerPoint, our slides, our training manuals, our field operations manuals, to further educate the public on our processes.
I want to thank you very much for this visit to begin the process of enumeration of counting the numbers of us in Ghana with me. It's important for everybody in Ghana, citizen, Ghanaian, people who were present here on census night, everybody, to go through this exercise. It's a painless one. We have been assured by those who are collecting the information that it will be treated in a confidential manner. The act under which they're operating insists on that, and I have no doubt about the integrity and the credibility of those who are conducting the census, that they will keep to the provisions of the act. But it is extremely important that each and every one of us, everybody who was here on census night, i.e. last night, the 27th of June, no matter where you come from, no matter your ethnic origin, no matter your religious persuasion, no matter your political affiliation, so long as you're a human being who was here last night on census night, you're entitled to be counted. And that is the exercise on which the Government Statistical Services embarked on and has began. It has begun with me. So I want to encourage everybody to participate in this exercise, to make sure that we have all the information that a census is meant to provide. It is not by accident that every 10 years, the United Nations and global bodies responsible for population have insisted that every nation should count its population, should count the number of people who are present on census night, so that it provides those of us who have the responsibility of taking decisions on behalf of our fellow citizens, the wherewithal, the means, the data that enables us to plan effectively for the development of the country. So it's an extremely important exercise, and I'm appealing to each and every one of you. Cooperate with the enumerators, cooperate with the census officials. They're doing an exceptionally important and sensitive job, and they need the cooperation of each and every one of us. So I'm appealing to you to cooperate with them, and let us have a successful 2020-2021 stroke census, because you all know why it was delayed from last year, so that this year's census is a successful one and will provide us with the information that we need. So once again, let me thank you and your associate for coming to undertake.
And that's the conversation between President Akufo-Addo and Professor Enim there. I want to take you back to Pantan. You know that we've been trying to establish the contact with the medical director so we can get their perspective, his perspective of what's going on. Dr. Benning, thank you once again, and thank you for your patience. I just was asking you previously that our understanding is that government is working on this problem that your workers, had mentioned, for which reason they had threatened to demonstrate, etc. Today, we've seen that they've demonstrated, they've declared an indefinite strike. But what happened to the work that government says it was doing to address the problems they highlighted?
So government hasn't been able to actually implement the promises that it made to Pantan Hospital. And I'm sure that is how come the unions have embarked on this demonstration and strike.
Can we look a bit more at the details? One of the key problems they had was that there was encroachment going on the hospital lands, and then there were attacks from people that they described as land guards and other criminals. How many of the promises given has, become, have materialized?
So none of them actually have been materialized. If I remember clearly, one of their problems was the encroachment, and the encroachment brought along the security issues where there were a lot of land guards in and around the hospital, and sometimes they engage in these gun battles with bullets flying to working areas. So that was one. And two, they wanted a wall around Pantan Hospital so that we know that people cannot easily stray into Pantan Hospital, and then we are also assured of some level of security. So basically, these are the two major concerns of the union. And as I speak with you, we know encroachment is still going on very much in Pantan Hospital at a very speedy rate. If you've been to the hospital, you realize that the whole frontage of the hospital has been taken. If you're not careful, you probably wouldn't even be able to make out there's a hospital behind private developments ongoing. And the wall government started, it did just about 30 to 40 meters and then stopped. So basically, unions are worried that government makes assurances and it takes forever for government to do. And for them, it's a lack of commitment on the side of government to make sure that they are working in a safe environment.
Okay. The gun battle that you mentioned, and this is something that one of the doctors today, one of the health workers today was telling my colleagues, sometimes it triggers, certain responses from the patients that you have. These are patients with mental health issues. Has it deteriorated, would you say? Can you describe to us how bad it's gotten since the last time your people went out to demonstrate?
So personally, I haven't observed any of it. I haven't seen any of it. But what has deteriorated is the level of engagement. What has deteriorated is the burglaries that happen in the hospital. What has deteriorated is the access routes these big trucks create in the hospital that we are not able to do anything about. The number of temporary structures that are coming up around the hospital, they are creating slums all over. And that is what I think continues to get worse.
Let's look at, internal arrangements or internal efforts that you're now going to have to make now that the workers are on strike. We know that there are patients on admission there, correct?
That's correct.
What happens? What's the internal arrangements now that the workers are on strike indefinitely?
So that is what puts me in this very state of desperation that I am in, because basically it's left with management to find every other means to care for these people. As I speak with you, I have to go to the wards to see all these patients. And I'm taking measures to make sure that as many as I can get to go home, I will. If it gets to a point that I can't deal with it anymore, I'll just shut the place up and wait till something has happened for them to return to work.
Help us to understand the implications of shutting down the place. Should that become your final option?
So the focus shouldn't be on me or on the hospital. I'm just a hospital providing service to the whole country. I work within a municipality, okay? I am not responsible for making sure that people don't put up structures in the wrong places. This is the work of the municipal chief executive. We have engaged with them. Nothing is happening. We've engaged severally with them. The temporary structures continue to go on. She assures me that she has not given permits to anyone, but still the buildings continue to go on. That is one. Two, I work within a ministry. Anything that is beyond me, anything that is beyond my limitations, I need to go to somebody higher than me. I've engaged with the agency, I've engaged with ministry severally. Nothing is happening. I've even gone out of my way to go to national security, go to the police. Nothing is happening. So this thing should be looked at in the wider perspective, at the bigger picture, as to what have I done? And who needs to do their bit for workers to feel safe working, seeing patients, so that patients would also get the relief that they sought from their illnesses.
I certainly understand that. You mentioned the state of desperation you're in, and let's assume that these agencies that you've mentioned and the people responsible that you've mentioned you have engaged. And I was going to ask whether you've engaged, that they are watching or they're listening to you. I wanted us, the whole country, to understand the implications of a psychiatry having to close down because the concerns of the people who work there are not being addressed. So if we can go through the implications, I mean, assuming you've run out of options and the hospital closed down, what are we staring at as a country?
Okay, so let's start with what is very visible. Okay, already we see large numbers of homeless, mentally unwell people on the streets. So what is going to happen is that these numbers are going to increase. In this era of COVID, where we're trying to restrict people, we're trying to keep the areas tidy and all that sort of thing, those things cannot be done because we can't really contain these people when they become homeless and end up on the streets.
we're going to have a lot of people who otherwise are very well going about their duties and contributing to the productivity of this country, who may relapse, okay, and may not be able to contribute as they are. And then they're also going to be a burden on their carers, okay, who are also attending to their own community issues to increase productivity. Besides that one, the mental health of the staff themselves, like I'm saying, using myself as an example, the levels of stress I have to go through at this very point is something that I don't want. Okay, and I'm sure the police are doing the same. Today they have to leave their jobs instead of attend to other security issues to be with us and all that sort of thing. So I believe, these things should be looked at in its wider perspective so that people will come back to work.
It looks like a very desperate situation the way you paint it, and I'm hoping that we'll get the responses from the agencies that you've mentioned. But let's wrap it up with what response you got from the ministry. The last time we heard from the minister, he was at the vetting. He indicated that he was dealing with this problem. Your engagement at the ministry, what has come out of that engagement, really?
Okay, so the Pantan issue is a complex one. The ministry wants to put up a wall. Okay, I understand the contract has been awarded, and that is how come the contractor came to start the wall many months ago. And then he left. I do not know why the contractor left. Today, I have seen that he sent over some 4 staff. Really, what they've started doing is not convincing. So, yes, the ministry says it will put up a wall, and that's what it's doing. Besides that one, the ministry hasn't been decisive to say that the encroachment that is going on, whether government still wants the land or not. We are not even sure through what boundaries the contractor is going to construct the wall through. All those things are not clear. You see, so the ministry is trying something, but I'm not too sure exactly the intent or the thoughts of the ministry are. And when I know, I probably will be able to share it. But I'm sure if you speak to the ministry, they probably would be able to shed light on these things.
We'll definitely make attempts to reach the ministry and get their perspective. But the last time, the minister indicated that they were going to explore what they call the forced acquisition, so that they will buy the lands from the people who have now bought, so to speak, because it looks like this encroachment has been going on for quite some time. And in that case, it becomes difficult to just, ward people off. So, but we need to hear from the ministry on this. That said, today you are at work, it seems, are you?
I am at work. And all the management members are at work.
But none of the workers are there?
No.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to this conversation, and Doc, as we wrap it all up?
It's just a plea I make to the country. Everybody should advocate for us. Everybody should bring their voice to bear on government. This thing is so critical. We only asking for the land to be protected for Ghana. It is not for us. Nobody has an interest, a permanent interest here. If I decide to leave this job or retire, I'm gone. We've done everything. We've petitioned everybody, even including the chief of staff and the vice president. So we're hoping that everybody would lobby for us. Everybody will bring pressure to bear on the people who have the powers to be able to do something, so that this thing is brought to an end once and for all.
Dr. Benny, thank you very much for your time. And usually, people like yourself are hardly speaking in the media. When you do, it does express the desperation with which you do, or the desperate times you're in. And we hope that we'll get the answers as soon as possible. We'll try and reach the Ministry or the Ghana Health Service, find out what steps are being taken to solve this problem before it blows up in our faces. Doc, thank you once again for your time. Dr. Benny, Frank Benny is the medical director at the Pantan Hospital, where this morning the workers have declared an indefinite strike. They've been on the demonstration and they're complaining about encroachment of their lands. They're complaining about gun battles that trigger certain responses, certainly not containable with the health, with the patients that they have and that they take care of. And as you heard Dr. Benning say, we're going to have a lot of homelessness. We already have that situation. It's going to perhaps increase. We'll have people who are undergoing medical treatment who may relapse, and we'll have the mental health of the mental health workers themselves to deal with. We'll get more as we go along. Now let's return to the census story. Now, former President John Mahama is also asking Ghanaians to cooperate with officials of the Ghana Statistical Service to ensure the success of the ongoing population and housing census. Mr. Mahama, who believes that census is an essential part to a country's development, also admonished the citizenry to ensure that the information they give are accurate.
As part of the census process, we want to make sure that we get everybody counted. That is our goal. Making sure that each individual, once we spend the census night in Ghana, will be captured. And so my name is Owusukaya, the enumerator assigned to this area to make sure that we cover every individual within this vicinity. And we want to say that whatever information we are taking from you will be for the purpose of the census and nothing else. And the law, we are expected to keep whatever information we take confidential, and so we go strictly by that. And we are so much grateful for giving us this audience, and we hope that the responses we give will be as truthful as possible. And we also want to remind people that if you fail to give the census officer an information, then you can either be fined or can be imprisoned, or it can even be both. And so we are happy that you are taking the lead to make sure that others also follow.
And that's former President John Mahama there. Well, JoyNews is learning that the Vice President, the Speaker of Parliament, the Chief Justice and other key individuals have also been counted. Let's go around the country, take a look. Now, if you want to have a say in governance of the country, avail yourself to be counted. That's according to former President Kufuor when his household was enumerated earlier today.
Expect to participate fully in governance, and also to demand accountability of your governors. If you remain anonymous and uncounted, how do you assert your rights? Do you get me? Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes, so that's what I'm trying to say. Get counted. So when government is planning and also implementing policies, sharing, the government shares on data, statistics. That's what the whole thing is about. But if you are not counted, then you shortchange your area, say your districts, because the formula of sharing is on the numbers of citizens there.
Former President John Ajay Kufuor there. So let's go around the country right now. A total of 5,392 enumerators and supervisors have been deployed in the northern region for the census. A total of 39 district field supervisors and 17 census officers are to take part in the exercise. Again, the number of areas to be enumerated in the region is about 4,236. The Northern Regional Statistician George Agbeyin expressed satisfaction at the enthusiasm shown by the people towards the exercise, assuring that the region will record one of the best at the end of it all.
It was a charged night with an enthused staff ready to begin the national exercise. They listened with rapt attention as the dignitaries lineup gave them some pep talk as motivation as they go into the night. Mr. Agbenye said the people are ready to be counted.
Northern region is not taking this census lightly. They wanted the numbers. They want everybody to participate in this exercise so that when they are advocating for facilities for Northern region, they will have a good data to support their arguments. And then what I would like to say is that in Northern region, the enthusiasm that the crew staff are exhibiting, I've never seen it before. They are very committed and are ready to die for this exercise. If you don't believe me, you can go around the district implementation group and you'll see it for yourself.
The chairman of the Northern Regional Celsius Implementation Committee, Alhaji Alhassan Isahaku, said it was a long and sometimes difficult path, but they have managed to get to the beginning of the exercise that begins tonight.
It's been a long, sometimes difficult path, but we have managed to get to the beginning of what we expect to be a very successful 2021 population and housing census. And I'd like to pay tribute to the various members of the Regional Census Implementation Committee and also the District Census Implementation Committees. We had representation from the various security agencies, from our traditional rulers, of course not forgetting the Torona, the important role he's played as a member of the Regional Census Implementation Committee. In fact, through their contributions, ideas and so on, we have managed to resolve some of the issues that would have worried us in this census. We are very grateful to them. But ladies and gentlemen, as they have already indicated, we are just beginning. And all that we have done will not yield the desired results if we do not pay attention to what is beginning after midnight.
The Northern Regional Minister on his part said data is very important in the development of a nation, adding that it is important for planners to know the age brackets, the groups, gender, religion, ethnic, among others, to help in the planning exercise.
Well, this is a great exercise, and the success of this exercise would solely rely on you. And we urge you to do your best, give Mother Ghana the best service that Mother Ghana needs, so that we can use the information that we would be deducing from you to help us do the development planning that would take us forward as a nation. I'd like to tell you that patience is one of the hallmarks of this exercise. To get into a place, you are encountering some problems, please, just take it your stride, because you have an exercise to do. And the exercise is to make sure that everybody is counted. I will be counted. You too should be counted. So everybody should get counted. And in the end, Mother Ghana would be the winner.
Well, Martina Bugri filed that report. Let's take a look at what is happening today. That was from yesterday. Martina, what is the update there?
This morning, several of the immigrants were in the streets visiting homes and structures where they could take data. And we were fortunate to be part of the team that went to the NDC leader in Parliament House this morning, where his data was captured. And I must say that high-profile people like the Northern Regional Chief Imam's data has also been captured, just like the regional minister and some other high-profile people in the region. One thing that I must add is that people are eager to have their data taken. And they think that previously they had not shown so much interest in the exercise. And so this time they are giving it something different. They are eager to be part of the exercise. And so when you meet people and speak to them, they want to be part, of the numbers that will be counted.
Well, sounds good there, Martina. Let's leave it there already. We're having a bit of interruption in the background. So we head to the Upper West region now, where correspondent Rafiq Salam is joining us with an update on the exercise. Rafiq, what can you report?
is also very good as compared to previous years. But some residents that I spoke to last night were not happy about the way things went because they kept vigil throughout the night, waiting to be counted. You know, the figures in the Upper West region in every census has always been disputed about. And so the people of the other Upper West region are saying that they want to give a region a fair reflection of their population. As it stands now, as of last year, the Ghana Statistical Service gave the Upper West region about 868,419 people, who the people think that they are more than that. And so yesterday, they were ready. A lot of activities were lined up. We have the fire service blaring the siren last night around 11 p.m. There were record dancers in some communities and also people going around the communities and asking people to get up and then be counted. And so this morning, the Ghana Statistical Service, led by the Upper West Region statistician Jeremiah Sisus Dere, went to the house of the Upper West Regional Minister and then enumerated him and his household. And so after that, they move into the field to enumerate other people. So the picture in the Upper West Region generally is good. And so the Upper West Region Minister is urging the people of the Upper West Region to ensure that the exercise becomes a success so that the Upper West Region will have its fair share of the national cake. And Jeremiah Sistus, who is the regional statistician, is also saying that they will do their best, utmost best, to make sure that the figures that they bring people have little dispute in them.
Oh, Rafik, thank you very much for that update. In the coming days, we'll see how it goes, especially how it ends even. Rafik Salam is our correspondent in the Upper West region. I want to take you to the Bono East region now. Census officials there in Techiman municipality say that they are optimistic that the census will help bring development to the area. But then they're raising the municipality's status. So they're also hoping it will raise the municipality status to a metropolitan. Correspondent Anas Sabit has more.
All is set for the 2021 population and housing census to take place in all the 11 municipal and district assemblies of the Bono East region. Authorities in the region are optimistic that the exercise will help with the needed data capable of aiding development within the area. Mr. Alex Anyete is the Techiman South Census Officer and the second in command at the Regional Census Office.
Bono East region is a new region that has been carved out of the former Bono Ahavo region. So since this region was created, this is the very first census that we have ever had. So we at the regional office, we in the district offices, we are determined to do good work so that we can have a good estimate of the population and the structures.
The Techiman municipality has in all deployed 525 personnel made up of 430 enumerators and 95 supervisors. Municipal Coordinating Director Alhaji Hamza told JoyNews that enough preparations are being made to ensure that the exercise runs smoothly, with the municipality aiming at attaining a metropolitan status.
You know, as a child, you want to grow to be like your father. And for Techiman Municipal Assembly, you know, now we are now a municipality. So we are also aspiring to be a metropolitan. So for us, this exercise is very important to us. It's very crucial. And so that's why we are appealing to everybody to just get himself or herself counted, so that at least the numbers will show that we are actually in the status of metropolitan.
Let's head to the region now, talk to correspondent Anas Sabit. Anas, how is it panning out over there today? Anas, you're muted.
So, as stated, municipal authorities as well as the regional level, the people here are poised to ensure that this exercise is being taken care of smoothly without any havoc. There are some key areas why the authorities here in the region are taking this exercise quite important. You know, after the creation of the Bono East region, this is the first population and housing census that is being done in the country. And as it stands, the region do not have regional statistics of its population. Whenever they want to make any reference, they have to refer to the previous Bono Half region. And so for the regional authorities here in the Bono East region, this is a very important exercise to them because it is aimed at helping, direct or influence the kind of development they want to achieve at the region. So they are leaving no stone unturned. Enough sensitization has been put in place to ensure that the people in the hinterlands are all informed about the exercise, and then they also participating as well. For the municipal status, which is the Petra municipality, this is the regional capital. The authorities here in the municipality want to ensure that by the end of this exercise, they have the numbers that will aid the municipality attain the metropolitan status.
And Anas,
that is the vote.
And Anas, as you indicated, this is especially interesting for the region because it's no longer the region it used to be. It's no longer the Bono Ahafo region. This is Bono East, and then there will be Bono, and then there will be Ahafo as well. So this is very important for the people. How are the traditional authorities, for example, reacting to this?
For the traditional authorities, they are the very reason why we have the region. That is the Bono East region, because they called for the creation of the Bono East region. So they are also partnering with the regional coordinating council to ensure that sensitization is being taken care of at the rural areas. They are using the various information centers, and then in some areas they are even using the Gongon beaters where they have some in the rural areas to ensure that all persons within the region get counted so that the region will know its statistics so far as population is concerned. So the traditional council are also not left behind. They are partnering with the regional coordinating council to ensure that this exercise is conducted smoothly.
Anas, thank you very much. Anas Sabit, Bono East region correspondent. And like he said, this is a very important exercise for this area just because it has been carved out of a bigger one, so it's important to establish the numbers that we have in these areas. Away from census, and of course, definitely we'll be keeping an eye on it as we go along. I want to take you now to Agbogloshi market. Tonight, all onion trucks have been banned from entering the Agbogloshi market. That is a directive by the Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Quartey as part of measures for the traders to meet the 1st July relocation deadline. The onion sellers and cattle rearers are to move to Ajenkotoku, which is at least an hour's drive from their current location. The bid is to decongest the Agbogloshi market. Mr. Quartey announced this at a deba held at Ajenkotoku earlier today with stakeholders, including the traders.
I want to assure them that their movement here, we will do whatever we can from today to ensure that this environment will be humane for them. We will go ahead to provide other facilities for them so they are able to do business here. Government is looking at re-asphalting the road here. The wall to the school will be fenced. Quite a number of things will be done here. Financial institutions are coming over. So I know that the market here, by the grace of God, will expand. I want to appeal to the youth. The youth. Midanche zongo nyojimi, nyefenyeli. Minkpa nyefa ye ben. Yaka hanu obea. Ninjamba biene. Bejano to fen wabato hanye wabato. Ndonye nanye wachwi. Yaka wabakwenye. Ye kenye babi efe washinye nuonya. Between now and the next 6 months, we can be about to Bajano too. Meanwhile, Onupa Kumeba Color Shop, where I'm a hard can be a coming pine for Onupa Yakafianakai. Kaja, Jale Pepe, Beka be a Konupa Fair Neku, Nimo Fair Mahoney. Bank Sani Baba be a Wakaman way. Neo Blanc here, Equine and talk couple of few Nyakabachuni, where MBSSI, Nimana Achakile. Ni ete here obana me babie kona me hanye capital fio ni nye kachunya ni
As the Greater Accra Region Minister, also the government has provided, says it has provided 40,000 cedis to offset the transportation cost.
Government is making available 400,000 Ghana cedis to the onion line sellers to use as transportation to cut their goods from Agbogloshi to this place. To this end, I want to appeal to the elders. They should make sure that everybody gets something. They should make sure everybody gets something. Even if there are 500 of them, everybody should get at least 2,000 Ghana cedis. Everybody. Nena, nene kebabi ene. Shina kanshika abaja mienyo. Many lo china abana 100,000. Yabotoe. Many the cow sellers or the cattle rearers will get 100,000 Ghana cedis, and then 300,000 Ghana cedis will be for the onion sellers. The committee will be the Ablekuma Central MP, the Binduri MP, Garu Timpani MP, and then the RCC will work with the Office of the Chief Imam to ensure that this money is disbursed accordingly.
So that's the arrangement that government has in place to move people from the Agbogloshi market to Ajenkotoku. While the measures have been rejected by the onion sellers, they say they feel sidestepped by their leaders in the negotiation. They've been complaining that the space at Ajenkotoku isn't spacious enough to accommodate their huge numbers at the Deba. Well, JoyNews was able to capture some of the angry sellers who fled up during the event.
Madam, 2,000 population, 2,200 population, 2,200 population. Over fire, on fire. It will be my time. Madam, you know the work. No security, no right, nothing. No animal.
Well, the regional minister, Henry Quarte, insists that they will have to move by the 1st July deadline, as has been agreed earlier.
Our agenda is for all of us. It is not for Henry Quarte. Today, the rains have set in. God knows what will happen. But we pray that we don't experience a June 3rd disaster again. We are doing this in the interest of Accra and Mother Ghana. Accra is Ghana, and Ghana is Accra. Let us rise and build for God and country. And I thank you very much. God bless you all.
Please, there have been some issues with onion sellers raising concerns.
There's no concerns. We've gone past that one, please. We have gone past concerns. We are moving in on the 1st July and we are coming here, no concerns. They've had 16 years to relocate here. There's nothing.
Away from that, the Minister for Works and Housing, Francis Asensu-Boakye, has ordered the demolition of part of a story building being put up on a waterway at the Asafo Market. This comes after traders at the market issued a 7-day ultimatum to the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to stop a private developer reconstructing the market from blocking drains there. Flooding of the market on Thursday led to the loss of property. According to the traders, this is the first time they were witnessing the problem, and they blame the private developer for this. Nanaya Ojima was at the market.
Yaka
omo yakaya asem ya de ko KMA boss wo say na ayi ba wono wan fi yi ana me friend yakaya asem a kire obi amfi yi ana me friend Nana Jantoa Inside FM ana ono no ka say ene o mema ayi aba enti anope oba ye no omo ye ayi no awia no ye story no ana afa de hu say nadmo ayi aye de aba aye bu ene enti ya da na se ya da bibia se ya da eduma pa wa ya ma ye ya da ya de pa
ye ni aje ensi ata na yira fola no kwa mu nyina obi ntimi kontimi ma o ma mtoto materials emo anwa enyama nyina ya basagata no aha na afa kase yi mu eti asafuna kata da nche yi fa ada eti ya da na adu ase ya da MP ase asafa asama eti sham o se ka bi ya mani papa mi so ni mi bet mi nya so insio ma muda ombasi adawe last week I saw seven no many na mi ma ko ni mi jene insio na se ni na eti mi da na se mi da I saw se the way na project ni tias aka mi ka na chi e wa de wo ye na
shey da me ha e yila fa ye ni ma nyina sei ye ni ma bibia sei ba bi e ba store nsio nko mu da nyina da na nsio to ye no nsio ko ha me ye ni ma nyina sei aha ye nya kwan gata ketua bi na da ha e no amode aye kwan empani fo atere mle wa fo nkwakula fo hu cham kula ko radio ma hu nya kwan no wa twam se kwan na si trago kula ntimi mfa ha en radio enso ne yakofa ne ma ye di good trago so e na trago di radio se trago nya kwan se gate nso na dwana no enti akrofo da
Nanayo Juma is joining me via Zoom. Nanayo, if you can translate for us what they've been saying, then we'll move on with the discussion. Hello, Nana.
So, according to the women, before when they came to the area, that's the Asap market, they've never witnessed any form of plant in the market. But after some private developers came into the market and commenced the reconstruction of the market, they are now experiencing some floods. According to them, all the drains in the market are blocked. So when it rains, the rainwater is unable to freely go through the market, and hence the flooding they are experiencing. So they were calling, they were thanking the Minister for Housing and for the intervention, and also all the people who helped them find solution to the problem.
How will the demolition that has been ordered by the minister solve the problem?
So we are talking about a piece of land in front of this market, and this is where the private developer with Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly have entered into an agreement to help ensure that these places are developed for the traders in the area. Now, the private developer has extended the construction that is onto the drains. And this area we are talking about is the main drain where all the drains in the market use as an exit point. So the contractor, from what I saw, had filled up the place with sand. And now this place that we are talking about is being developed by this contractor. So when it rains, the rainwater, when it gets to that area, gets stuck and is unable to move freely. Now, from what I saw, the contractor is trying to create another channel for the water. But since the contractor didn't do that even before stopping the original drainage, that's the reason for the cause of the flooding that the women are seeing there. So the demolition and again the silting of the drain, which where the contractor is developing now, will ensure that water freely moves through the area, and so that the flooding that is being seen recently will not reoccur.
Okay, has that the demolition happened already?
So immediately the Works and Housing Minister visited the area and ordered it.
the people themselves, that the traders themselves, took construction equipment and went straight to to the site and started demolishing the area. Before I left the area, they have done some work, and they hope that even if they are unable to finish today, tomorrow they'll be back there to complete the project.
Wasn't there specificity as to who should carry out this demolition so that they don't end up demolishing other structures that they weren't supposed to demolish?
So the work was to be done by city authorities. That's the engineer for works here in Kumasi Metropolis. Now, he was part of the people who visited the area with the minister. So immediately the order was given, and these people got onto the area. He couldn't. The minister and his entourage couldn't stop the people because in the morning they demonstrated. They were very angry at what was happening. So the solution, the check was that the works engineer for Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly stays at the site and ensure that they do the work according to the order that the minister gave. So before I left there, the city engineer was there trying to supervise the traders from exceeding the limit that the Works and Housing Minister gave.
Nanayo, thank you very much for that update. Nanayo Juma there, joining us all the way from Kumasi. Educational authorities in the Cape Coast metropolis have begun finding solutions to the rate of indiscipline in some basic and senior high schools. The authorities say it's become difficult to deal with school pupils who are becoming more truant and BEC candidates who refuse to go to school after they are registered by their schools. They say that the practice, coupled with the arrears in the payment of capitation grant to basic schools, is gradually crippling the educational structures and affecting the overall outcomes. At a stakeholder deliberation in Cape Coast, the Institute of Educational Planning and Administration assured the school heads and the education directorates that the institute would help shore up their capacities to build bridges between the teachers and their students. Regional correspondent Richard Kojonyako has more.
Mr. BEC, they don't come to school. The last time before they wrote the 2020 BEC, I went round almost all the junior high schools. Some of them are riding Pragia.
Metropolitan Education Director for Cape Coast, Dr. Brenda Sari, sharing some of her observations.
Is somebody not taking care of the Pragia? Some of them, you ask them, they say it belongs to them or it belongs to their parents. They do not start school at the right age. So before they get to Form 3, they are already grown up and they think they are even the size of their teachers. So please, we are here because performance, at the end of the day, that is why we will be judged with.
Cape Coast Metro Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Albert King Enum Odum, indicated the rate of indiscipline in schools was becoming an albatross on the neck of teachers and called for stringent measures to tackle the challenge.
Some people, just after registering their BCE, the next time that you see them in the school is when they are coming to take their pictures when they complete school. They take some pictures to signify that they have completed school. These are things going on. And in this era of child rights, it has become so difficult for administrators to tell students that because you have absented yourself for some number of days, you won't be allowed to sit the examination. And parents are adding up to this. There are some schools that parents will even come and fight teachers for attempting to discipline their wards. Not discipline in terms of beating. Capitation for a long time is in arrears. And students are not supposed to pay anything. So it has found it difficult to get any form of resource to manage their schools.
A senior research fellow of the Institute for Educational Planning and Administration, Dr. Alfred Ampamensa, warns the stress on academic laurels at the expense of values and morals in our schools in the upbringing of children should be controlled.
We are concentrating only on people getting 8A1s without also focusing on upholding the morals of society. The sort of things that are happening are the sort of things that we'll be getting. We wake up and we are complaining about the kind of children we are having now. They don't respect, they don't do this, they don't do that. To what extent does the school promote these values?
Director General of the Institute for Educational Planning and Administration, Dr. Mike Boachi Adam assured that EPA would build the capacity of the leadership of the schools to enable them deal with the challenges.
The Institute for Educational Planning and Administration at the University of Cape Coast has a mandate to support the capacity strengthening of staff within the Ministry of Education and all its agencies, including the Ghana Education Service. So our point is that we are going to support the Cape Coast Metro Education Office to strengthen the capacity of teachers, to strengthen the capacity of school administrators and school leaders, and I'm talking about the school heads, to know how to support their students. They know it already, but to support them to do it better, so that we support our students, we build relationship with our students and towards their performance.
Educational authorities are urging parents to support them to educate and develop their children. From Cape Coast for Joy News, Richard Kwejenyako.
The Ghana Maritime Authority is exploring avenues to fast-track passage of the cabotage law. The law, when passed, will warrant seafarers to take ownership of all shipping vessels and transportation-related activities. The draft bill is going through the process of being laid before Parliament. More in this report.
The Day of the Seafarer, an annual and international event day coordinated by the International Maritime Organization, is not only to celebrate seafarers, but also to let the world know how and why seafarers are indispensable to everyone. This year, the day recognized the unique contributions made by seafarers from all over the world to international seaborne trade, the world economy and civil society as a whole. Director General Ghana Maritime Authority, Thomas Kofi Alonsi, in an address to mark the day, said the authority has started looking into avenues to speed up the processes for the passage of the cabotage law into force.
As you may be aware, the authority has been at the forefront of championing a cabotage law designed to ensure that as many of you as possible gain employment. We are determined to ensure that a sizable percentage of jobs are reserved for our seafarers by foreign vessels operating within Ghana's maritime jurisdiction. While the draft bill is going through the processes of being laid before Parliament and debated before being passed, the authority is exploring other avenues of compelling foreign vessels operating solely within our waters to employ local seafarers. We have included, as part of our conditions precedent for the renewal and granting of operating permits and licenses, requirements for proof of employment of local seafarers. We intend to enforce these regulations religiously. We are confident that these efforts will bear fruits very soon. After all, our agenda is a fair future for our seafarers. Ghanaian seafarers must also benefit from Ghana's maritime jurisdiction.
The authority called on governments to recognize seafarers as essential workers and ease the travel restrictions on them despite the COVID-19 pandemic. He said seafaring remained the world's most important profession because about 1.7 million seafarers provided the labor force that kept the global economy moving.
Organization to mark the contributions that seafarers make to the global economy. So that is the event we are celebrating here in Tema today. Having said that, we realize that after training, there's always the need to ensure that the Ghanaian who has been given the requisite training to become a seafarer gets a job placement. Now, it's been difficult, but as an authority or a maritime administration, we have decided to make a law that will make it mandatory for ships that operate solely within our maritime jurisdiction to recruit a certain percentage of local seafarers as part of their crew. This bill is currently at its consideration stage. Very soon, the subsidiary committee on parliamentary committee on subsidiary legislation will be convening a meeting with the stakeholders, and certainly GMA, who is behind this bill, will be a part of this. And after that, I'm sure they'll go through the process of laying it in Parliament. But as an authority, also realize that this will take some time to come into fruition. So we have decided that we will make it a condition precedent for the issuing of permits and licenses that ship owners show evidence that they have some Ghanaian crew amongst the crew they employ. That is for ships that operate solely within a maritime jurisdiction. So this is a stopgap measure whilst we wait for the cabotage, which will be a legal framework in ensuring that there's some local content when it comes to participation within the maritime space in our jurisdiction is concerned.
This year, next year?
No, in terms of the stopgap measure, that of making it a condition precedent that ship owners show evidence that they have employed some Ghanaian seafarers, it is something we have started. Okay. But with regards to the cabotage, it is a matter that has to go to Parliament after the stakeholder considerations, and it's almost about being laid before Parliament. So I'm sure before the close of the year, there will be good news for seafarers in this country.
But on the stopgap, how many percentage are you supposed to have before?
It's a matter of negotiating with them.
4 persons are receiving treatment at the Begro Government Hospital after they were attacked in what reports say was a bloody clash between residents of Dedeso and some thugs allegedly hired by one. The thugs and one police officer, according to reports, unleashed violent attacks on farmers who were working on their farms. Kofi Siao is joining me with more. Hello, Kofi. What exactly happened?
Okay, so over the weekend, this clash happened between the residents and some thugs allegedly hired by one Nana Bosompim. He is a resident of Begro and a chief in that area as well. So Nana, according to the people, brought in about 20 of these thugs. When they came, they started moving to some farms in the area, and whenever they saw any of the farmers working on the land in that area, they attacked him because, according to the residents, Nana Bosompim has been threatening them and claiming that he is the rightful owner of the lands in that area. But the people say that that cannot be true because they've been there for more than 60 years now when government decided to construct the Akosomo Dam. That was when government decided to move them or resettle them from where they were to their current community. So that cannot be true. So when this thing happened, there was some kind of confrontation between the thugs and the community members. The community members had to mobilize a lot more people to come in to support them so that they could resist the attacks on the members of the community. So it led to a violent clash, and some people got injured because they used machete. Some also used other things or other things that they could use to attack the residents and the thugs. So that led to the 4 of the people being injured in that process.
Oh, Kofi Siao, thank you very much. We'll keep an eye on that story for a follow-up. Kofi Siao, our correspondent there in the Eastern region. And that's all for the news today, but there is more news at myjoyonline.com. And of course, Let's Talk Showbiz will bring you all the highlights of what happened over the weekend. As you know, it's a fully packed weekend. So definitely, Dorina View and Becky are standing by to bring you that one. But like I said, there is more news at myjoyonline.com. You can share it and share the links with your contacts so they know what's going on. My name is Gifty Ando Apia. We'll be here again tomorrow, God willing, with more news. Do stay with us.